Welcome to Mechanical Advantage Garage. I'm Kerry, and today is Labor Day weekend, so it's Indian Uprising 2024 up at Polaris. This is the regional meetup for the GTO Association of Central Ohio. We did this last year. On my way to it last year, I popped a belt and spewed coolant all over the front of the car, and somehow they still gave me a trophy. One of the reasons why I went last year was to crash their party full of restored cars, and what ended up happening is rather than everyone turning up their nose at me, they were very welcoming and they were very nice, and they appreciated the unrestored glory that is this really beater real GTO. So I think we should return their hospitality, go see the sites, go look at some restored perfect GTOs and Firebirds and all sorts of cool cars on the channel, and I get to be the ambassador of Ratty and Rusty and Awesome to that part of the hobby. Well, one of the first things I need to do before we drive over there is, I don't know that I can show up to a Pontiac show with a Chevy emblem on my steering wheel. So let's just pop this off right now. And the good news is I have a replacement for this. Now, this is the Comfort Grip steering wheel, and I've talked about this in my last video. Let's take a look at the wheel for a second here. Comfort Grip steering wheels were available from 67 into the late 70s on GM vehicles. They were not available on 67 GTOs. I don't know if they were available on later ones like 68 and 69 and 70. They may have been. But 67s, the only options were a wood wheel or the stock big plastic wheel, which I took off in the last video. And the Comfort Grips are really nice. They're rubberized. They have this metal ring. They look kind of stylish. They were available on Firebirds, Olds 442s, and Buick GSs, and Chevelles. So it's only the GTO that didn't get these, which means that finding a horn button that says something related to this car is difficult. I mean, there are Firebird ones, but the Firebird ones have the logos. But what I have here is a blank button plus a Pontiac Division sticker that goes in the center that looks like the original horn button from the energy absorbing plastic steering wheel. Now, these came to me from Auto Pro. I found them online, and they actually make Comfort Grip wheels, horn buttons, or they sell Comfort Grip horn buttons for a variety of cars with certain logos. And they had the Firebird ones, but then I noticed in their catalog they also had one for other size Pontiacs. So I bought one. I happened to get a good deal on it. I think retail was $49 plus shipping, and I got it for $44 because of some fall special they were running. But yeah, let's just clean this up and we'll pop it right on the car. Now, one thing I always do is I don't trust new part manufacturing. I think there's always a lot of oils. So I wipe everything down with lacquer thinner or acetone. Just something that dries really quick but cuts through oil and grease and stuff. And so that's what we're doing right now. And then I think I'm going to have to put the phone down to put the sticker on, but let's do that. Now, contrary to popular belief, these things are actually unidirectional. There is a way that they fit on the wheel so that they are straight up. And because I don't want to mess that up, I'm going to install it on the wheel first, once I figure out where the right spot is. Yeah, and once I have that installed on the wheel, like so, then I will put the decal straight up. And I should really be doing this from inside the car. These decals, by the way, are the same kinds that you used to find on, you know, if you went to a place and you bought custom wheels, these were the center cap decals. You know, at least that's what they look and feel like. I don't know. All right, that one doesn't look straight. Hold on. Okay, now it's on, and that's as straight as I'm going to get it, but it looks good. It looks like it's a factory wheel. So, yeah, let's get in the car, get it started, and get going there. All right, let's see if we can get this car started. It's a hot day today too, so she's gonna suffer a little bit, but there we go. She lives. Well, she hasn't been driven in a while either, so I'm sure there's oil collecting in the cylinders and all that good stuff. But yeah, let's just get this temp gauge in positive return, and then we'll back out and head out. But this is a great group of folks. I love that they are trying to preserve Pontiacs in central Ohio. The thing I love most is, and the reason why I drive this car everywhere, is that I want people to see it. And I don't mean just see it in like a show setting or a cruising setting. Admittedly, we're going to a show, but I drive it on power tour. I drive it to work sometimes. Because I'm constantly working on it, I gotta test it, right? Well, the reason why I love old cars is I grew up seeing hot rods and muscle cars driving around on my streets in the 80s. And I was able to fall in love with them because I saw them. And if I want future generations to value this car, and I don't mean monetarily value it, but to value it as a cultural icon, they have to see it in person. They have to see it on the road. They have to see it on the highway. They have to see it in a parking lot. And the only way you do that is by driving it. So I take it everywhere I get the chance to, because it's fun and I like driving it. And the seat rails, by the way, make this thing so much more comfortable now. I can't believe I didn't do that sooner. Anyway, we're almost there, so let's check it out. Well, we made it to Indian Uprising, and they are super hospitable here, and it's kind of awesome. So let's go look at some awesome Pontiacs, and actually I'm seeing some other cars around here too. Like there's a chopped 32 Ford right over there. But yeah, let's go look at some cars and check out some cool stuff. So here's a really gorgeous Pontiac powered 68 Firebird. But this has some nice high performance parts, including, well, it has air conditioning, it has RPM, Edelbrock aluminum heads, has an Edelbrock intake, has fuel injection. Right, so I'm assuming that's the Edelbrock fuel injection. Looks like a very nice billet pulley setup, aluminum radiator. Gorgeous color, spring mist I think is what it's called. And it's got the larger, I think these are 18s, or they might be 17s. No, these are 18s, 18-inch Rally 2 replicas. The thing I happen to really love about this car is it's got the 4-speed, but I don't think that's a 4-speed because that has a 5 on it. So it might be a Tremec TKX transmission, the 5-speed transmission. But just an overall gorgeous car. You know, one of my good friends in high school had a 67 convertible like this. His was blue, and I just remember riding in that car all the time. I love these old first-gen Firebirds, and this one happens to be a really very good example. So here's something interesting I want to focus on for a second. In the styling department, on the left here is a 1962 Pontiac Grand Prix, and on the right here, is a 64 GTO. But look at how similar they are in the styling. It really does impress me, like how close they are in terms of looking alike. Even though by the time you get to 64, it ends up looking like this car over here. That's a 64 Grand Prix for the full size with stacked headlights. So I think the larger cars were kind of the predecessors to what the mid-size car, sort of a waterfall of the big car got the styling, then the mid-size car got the styling, and the little car got the styling. But the engines in these cars are both interesting. This one, I believe, is 389. Might be a 421, I can't tell. But it is a 4-speed car, and oh, look at that 4-speed panel right there. You gotta look at that. That is just too cool. You know, It's the little details in these cars that really make them. This even has the optional Pontiac tachometer on the center console. Just really gorgeous car. Flawless black paint too, look at this. And then moving over to the red 64 GTO, I feel like this was really the color for these cars. I only have ever remember seeing them in this red or in that Night Watch blue. But here's another 4-speed stick car. Just a beautiful car inside. But this one is 389 tri-power. So 3 2-barrel carburetors, progressive linkage, so you drive around on one carb, and then when you step into it, they open in sequence. I believe it's the center carb that you drive around on, and then as you step into it, the other two, starting with the rear and then the front. But somebody will correct me. But just a very nice restoration overall. This is a gorgeous car. Well, the same year as my GTO, but this is a Le Mans, and this is a Le Mans convertible. There's a lot of differences between it and the GTO, actually, visually. Starting with these shark-like gill vents here. What's interesting is that this has the GTO lower stainless panel down here, similar to how my car would have. The only other 67s that would have this were that panel were the GTOs. All the other ones had the 66 style rocker panels. This one's really nice in that he's replaced the wood grain with this engine turned aluminum, and that looks really pretty, but that is not stock. That looks like a 3-speed stick, actually. Yeah, look at that, 3-speed on the floor. But just a really pretty color too. This car is gorgeous. Some nice fin valve covers, Edelbrock intake. Just a gorgeous looking 67. Oh, and a custom grille. A really nice car. I think we saw this one at Good Guys this year, but this is just an absolutely gorgeous Grand Prix. I mean, look at this thing, twin turbo, and the lower headlights here are the air scoops for the turbo. Unbelievable, carbon fiber front lip. Just everything on this car is top-notch fabricated. LS motor, of course, because that's just what people do these days, but I don't hate it. Twin turbo LS, just unbelievable fit and finish on this car. The interior is gorgeous too. But even the mirrors, beautiful. Look at the interior of it. It's just a top-notch work all around. Paint is this sort of battleship gray kind of primer, but it's glossy. And it's interesting is it has the 65 to 67 GTO hood scoop in the hood. That would not have been a GP thing. They added that. So little subtle custom touches. It's just kind of an amazing thing. The car is just stunning. The car that really doesn't get its due are these later Grand Prix from the late 60s, early 70s. Essentially a shared platform with the Monte Carlo, so that would make them an A-body, just like a GTO. But a little bit longer, and I think a little heavier than a Monte Carlo, but still retaining the overall shape. Just a really gorgeous one. This one actually still has reproduction Firestone wide oval tires, which is amazing. And this is an SJ model, which I believe is the performance version of the Grand Prix, or at least it was the up-trim model. This has air conditioning, and I don't know if it's a 455 or a 400. Let's see. He's got, 428. So he's got a magazine article here from what is this? Muscle car review. But man, what a gorgeous car. And the color is amazing too. It's like this bronzy brown. So here are a pair of gorgeous 70 GTOs. One stock, one modified. You can tell the green one's got custom Quaker wheels on it. And it's this gorgeous, I think they call it Vidoro green color. Still Pontiac powered, so it's a mild custom. But then you have this 455 HO Tiger Gold 70 GTO. And you can really see difference in ride height too. Just two different takes on the same car. It's really nice to see. Let's go take a look at the interiors here. This is a green interior. It's absolutely gorgeous. With the same his/her shifter I have in my 67. Dual gate right there. And look at that. Comfort grip steering wheel. It's a Pontiac and it's for 68 or for 70. It's a different shape. That's interesting. But just gorgeous in there. And then here we have the sports steering wheel and just gorgeous interior. Oh, and look, a window sticker. These are reproduction window stickers. These aren't what they actually look like. But yeah, another 4-speed car. Well, that's a 4-speed car. The other one's an automatic, but just a really beautiful 70 GTO. We can go back here and take a look. Yeah, just really nice cars. Here's something really cool. This is a 55 Pontiac wagon. Similar to a 55 Chevy, but it's a Pontiac. And it has this gorgeous, the silver streak hood streaks, and it has the Chief Pontiac on a jet crystal hood ornament. And this absolutely absolutely cool Stratostreak valve cover. And look, an old generator. But the coolest thing about it is that this is a 2-door wagon. So I think they call these 860 wagons. They're not the, they don't have a model name, they have numbers. But what a gorgeous interior in here too. Just a lot of, for such a plain Jane base model, like working man's V8 powered wagon. It is very cool. And not so Spartan, at least with the dash, Nice. Right, and by the way, this is 3 on the tree. It is not an automatic. There is a clutch pedal there. This is just a really cool old hot rod wagon, 2-door shoebox wagon. Well, here's a real cool car. This is a 74 GTO. This would be the last year of the GTO, and its 10-year production run. This is the only year that's based on an F body or an X body, because it is not an A body, it is a Nova platform. These shared a lot of mechanicals and body panels with the 68 to 74 Chevy Novas, but they also had Pontiac powertrains. This would originally be a Pontiac 350, but it looks like he's got a 428. Yeah, there's 428 badges on the side here. He's got a 428 in it. This was really the end of it. And what's interesting is these cars were as fast as the first 64 GTOs, like that one back there, because they were much lighter. But this is when emissions era started to take hold, and a lot of safety stuff was starting to be implemented, so it was harder to make real horsepower. Looking inside here, oh, it's awesome. It's a 4-speed car. And, it feels like a Nova interior, but it's a little more upscale, and it's got GTO badges on the doors, just, you know, and the logo over the trunk. Those nice gauges in front of the shifter, they look similar to the 67 to 69 Camaro and Firebird gauges. That's really a nice setup. What a gorgeous car. Here's a somewhat rare and absolutely gorgeous GTO. This is a 1972. By 72, they really weren't selling as well as some of the other cars, and they were kind of pricey, so there aren't a lot of them around. This one happens to be particularly gorgeous, though, in this blue color over a white vinyl top and white interior, and it is a 4-speed car. I happen to really love this body style. 71 and 72, I don't think get as much love as the 69 and 70 models, but they should, because they're just absolutely stunning cars themselves. And this one's 400 powered, you know, nothing super special. Looks about the same as my GTO engine, but cleaner and nicer and prettier and working more functionally. And this one has AC too, which is a nice touch. But the beak on these, this was really the crowning achievement. They just have a really nice, reminds me of the 69 Firebird front end. It's just a really pretty looking car. I feel like I'd be remiss if we didn't look at some cool Firebirds while we're here. And we have, I think, a 77 or 78. I can't really read the thing from here. 78 Trans Am with a shaker hood. And this is just a really nice modified Trans Am. It's beautiful in this red color too. Most of the ones you see are black and gold, but this has air conditioning and it's just a really good looking red on red modified Trans Am. A lot of these cars are automatics. I don't remember too many of them being stick. These were just used cars when I was a kid and in high school. They were easy to find everywhere. This one's really nice though. Silver and black bird on the hood is just gorgeous. And over here we have a 76. Now the 76s are interesting because that's the last year of this single headlight and split grille. They would go to the dual square headlights from the single round ones in 77. And again, really beautiful car. This one is bone stock and really just a nice looking example. Silver over red and no T-tops, which is personally my preference because T-tops on all these cars sort of leaked. But Again, another automatic with a red interior, really pretty inside. Yep, and here's the build sheet. Let's see if we can see door implementation. Oh, real interesting stuff. Now, when I was a broke college student, these were the cars I really lusted after, the 4th gen Firebirds. And this one happens to be a Firehawk. This is an SLP Firehawk versus the Trans Am. I had always wanted a WS6 car. In fact, in '96, I went to go look at one new on the showroom floor and then realized that, yeah, I was a broke college student, couldn't afford one. So this one's absolutely gorgeous. Well, they both are, really. With the SLP Firehawk being like the pinnacle of Firebirds for this generation of cars. In fact, here's a sort of timeline of the Firehawk. Now, these were actually sold through GM dealers and were considered GM cars, but were modified by SLP, which was an outside contractor for GM. They also have the distinction of making the only manual transmission 350 powered 3rd gen, because the first Firehawks in '91 were that. So they knew how to make a quick car. But these cars really are just very pretty. T-tops and automatic, and it's kind of a usable car too. Firehawk. Car 96. So they were all numbered. That's the other thing too. This one's an automatic, but who cares? It's still a neat car. So here's an absolutely gorgeous Firebird. This is a 1970 Firebird. So this is the first year of the 2nd gens. And this one is not a Trans Am. This has the Formula hood scoops on it. I'm assuming it's a Formula 350. Let's see here. A Formula 400. There we go. And again, 400 Pontiac engine. Really beautiful interiors on these two. Again, a lot of these 2nd gen cars tend to be automatics. That's not a bad thing, but just a really nice, very sporty interior. Again, there's that comfort grip wheel that they saw in the 70 GTO as well. But to give you an idea of how radical a design of car this was, this is the 70. This was the year before. This is the 69. And this one happens to be a 428 powered one. This is something he swapped in. These would all be 400. And this one is in Trans Am livery, but I don't think it's, I think it's just a tribute. It's not an actual TA, but it doesn't really matter. Gorgeous white with the blue interior, and this is a 4-speed car. Just a really neat car in general. Has a later Trans Am steering wheel on it, which isn't bad, but yeah, this gives you an idea of like how radically different they went from one year to the next. You know, these cars, like this is a large car compared to this one, which is always funny because I always thought of the 2nd gens as being big cars, but no, the 69, the 1st gens, apparently it's a bigger car. It's taller, it's wider, you know, it really is just a bigger car, but they're both beautiful cars. Well, here are two oddballs. This is, I believe, a 73 Ventura. Let me see here. 72. This is a 72 Ventura. Starting in 1970, Pontiac had their own version of the Nova called the Ventura. This would eventually lead up to the 1974 GTO as a package on the Ventura. But in this year, the GTO was still a big mid-size A-body, and the compact Nova Pontiac version was the Ventura. These would normally be 350 Pontiac powered, or even smaller. I don't know what this one has in it, but it's cool. It's got headers. It's a nice car. And this is an 09 Solstice Coupe GXP. It is not a roadster. It actually has a fixed roof. And it is one of 330 manual transmission GXP coupes. And of those, 49 were steel gray and 9 were GXP. So it's one of 9, really. But I feel like, you know, Pontiac guys are starting to dip into Corvette guys in terms of how rare things are. But these were Ecotec powered, and here you can see that coupe roofline. These really are tiny cars inside. I don't think I could even fit in one at my height. But it is probably it was a good looking car for the last generation of the Pontiacs. As was the Ventura, being a good looking car for the, you know, a badge engineered Nova for Pontiac. By the way, Buick and Olds also had their versions of the Nova. I think the Buick was the Apollo and the Olds was the Astra. I can't remember. Get at me in the comments if you can remember what the Olds version of the Nova was. Well, here's a really interesting car. This is a 70 GTO with only 15,000 original miles. This is an unrestored car that was kept really nice and, you know, just clean and, well, not much to it. 4-speed car, limited slip, which they call safety track. Radio, rally wheels, hood tack, which is kind of a nice feature. And console, and yeah, 4-speed car. Just a real pretty, well-kept GTO. I like that these cars exist. I know I couldn't own one because I like my cars to have adventure and stories, and with that comes high miles. So, you know, you've seen my Rusty Pilot GTO, but my Rusty Pilot GTO goes everywhere. This has only gone 15,000 miles. What kind of adventure did it have in 15,000 miles? So, man, look at this gorgeous 68 GTO convertible. These cars just happen to be absolutely gorgeous as convertibles. Most of the time you see them as coupes. But yeah, this one is a 4-speed as well. Tiger chilling out in the back. But very interesting looking car. This was the first year of the new sort of fuselage body style for Pontiac and these mid-sized cars. And while the hardtops look, you know, like a sort of like a fastback, these convertibles, man, they look sleek. Just good-looking cars. So this wraps up another Indian Uprising here in Columbus, Ohio, 2024, September 1st. It was a good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. People here are always welcoming and accommodating and a lot of fun to be around. And I hope to attend again next year. Oh, and by the way, oops, I did it again. Third place this time. Didn't mean to. I really just show up so people can look at the car and have fun and remember that 67 GTOs exist and they're fun and they're cool. And all right, thanks. Take care. That they're fun and cool and they need to be seen. But it's always nice to be appreciated too. So hopefully you like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.